Hi everyone, I welcome you all to yet another podcast. And today we have a very special guest with us. We have Gaurav Bhagat with us, and I am Chavi, your podcaster of the day. And when it comes to our amazing guest, he is an entrepreneur and also the founder of Amazing Academy, which is of the name Gaurav Bhagat Academy, where the people used to learn and train about a lot of stuff. So let's know a lot more about him by his own mouth. So yeah, I welcome you, Gaurav, in our today's podcast.
Thank you, Chavi. It is a pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me on your show. I've been hearing some of your episodes, and really is some like great quality content that you're putting out there. As for myself, yes, I am Gaurav Bhagat. I run multiple companies. I'm also a coach, trainer, speaker, and mentor. I speak on stages in India and around the world. And of course, I run a few companies like Consortium Gifts and the Gaurav Bhagat Academy. So thank you for having me here, and looking forward to our conversation today.
That's amazing and great to hear that. And to be honest, to start, first of all, I would be very happy to know about the academy, because this is the thing that attracts the most of the listeners. To be honest, the people who are watching, tell us something about the academy, how you started, and how is it actually going in the present time.
Absolutely. So the Gaurav Bhagat Academy is actually in its fifth year now, and it's a very interesting conversation in terms of how it started. And a lot of your listeners might be aware of a gentleman called Grant Cardone, and Grant Cardone is Mr. 10x. He's the world's number one sales trainer, speaker, coach. Himself, someone who started flat broke as a recovering drug addict, and today has a personal net worth of 1 billion US dollars. Personal net worth. So Grant and I met. We met in 2018, in fact 17 for the first time, and he said, "I'm looking to license my content. I'm looking at people who are amazing at what they do. I'm looking at people who are great in sales. I'm looking at people who have, done the grind. Built up their own companies from scratch. As had I. I started my first company from 10,000 rupees drawn on a credit card when I was in college. Very similar to the audience, that your, age group that your audience is currently in as well. And yeah, that's where the hustle started from. So Grant and I spoke, and he realized, that we were a great fit, and we actually became one of his first licensees in the world, the first in Asia, still the only in India, and that's how it started. And it's been a unbelievable journey. So we work with companies large and small. We work with SME entrepreneurs. I go in and speak a lot at even universities and colleges, and it's a pretty full calendar. We do specific courses which are there for sales, but we also do stuff around Tiny to 10x, and I think that's going to be one of our conversations today. And I spoke on Tiny Habits in Boston recently. It was the world's largest insurance conference, and that was held by the MDRT. So 7,000 people attended that conference. I was a speaker there as well. And yeah, Tiny Habits and the 10x movement. So both very close to my heart, and that's where I'm coming from.
That's really amazing and great to know. Your journey has been really amazing and inspiring as well at the same time. So moving with that, when it comes to entrepreneurship, it's a lot thing that you need to do and you need to have in your mind. So what are the tiny habits that you follow, and when you started your entrepreneurship journey, you might have come across with so many difficulties. So how those tiny habits actually helped you in your journey?
Yeah, I mean that's a super question, and if you think about it, I mean, of course, there were many hurdles and obstacles that actually came, to the extent that I had, even started writing my own book, and the book is called "Smashed, Bashed, Yet Not Dashed." So there's just been so many obstacles, so many hurdles, so many problems that have come up in life, and I'm actually documenting in a book, which hopefully we should have out by next year as well. And when you talk about tiny habits, so I was introduced to tiny habits by Mr. Tiny Habits himself, and that is a gentleman by the name of BJ Fogg. And BJ Fogg is a Stanford University professor. He's been teaching tiny habits now for close to about 22 years. And it's a very sought after course. And of course, a few years ago, he wrote the book, which is called Tiny Habits. And I'm one of the few Tiny Habits certified coaches in India. I was trained by BJ and his sister Linda, and it was amazing. I mean, when I came across Tiny Habits, it was about 2.5 years ago, and I realized that it is just such an important learning which is there for us all. And sometimes we think that We can, create habit by, repetition. We can, create habit by being motivated. But BJ, using, of course, the book and the training, and the subsequent interactions we've had after, it just became very clear that our entire thought process is broken. We've always been told motivation honi chahiye aapke andar, and you have to be, motivated, and through motivation it's going to happen. I mean, I tell people that motivation is the biggest villain and the reason for maximum people's failure. And they're like, what are you saying? I mean, aren't you like a motivational speaker? So yeah, I've actually stopped calling myself a motivational speaker, even though Instagram, links me as a motivational speaker. But I tell everyone that it's motivation is that one thing that's actually going to fail you. And I'm going to be happy to talk more about that if you have questions around motivation failing you as well.
That's actually pretty much interesting and something that I haven't heard till now. Okay, now moving with that, would love to know, like, as I talked about the tiny habits, and we are talking about motivation as well at the same time. So, when it comes to entrepreneurship journey, and also when it comes to the people who are just starting up their career, what are the things that they should keep in mind? Like, if I'll talk in a very general manner, what are the things
Of course.
like, so that you can just work on the challenges that you're facing?
So I think the most important aspect in any role, be it an entrepreneur, be it a working professional, be it a student, it all begins with attitude. So attitude is very, very important. Even when we hire in our organizations, even when we bring on people on sales teams, I train some of the largest, insurance sales teams in the country, sales teams at banking companies like Axis, at Tata AIA, at Pine Labs, at Microsoft. And I always say, always look for attitude first. Okay, because that is something that is primary. I mean, everything else can be taught, everything else can be learned, but if the attitude is broken, we have a problem. So hence attitude is very, very important aspect. And I always say, have the right attitude. Be someone who is practicing gratitude. Be someone who is very, very thankful. Be someone who is just positive in a world full of noise and negativity. Right now in my office, like there's stickers, on the walls and that say no negativity. So no negativity allowed here. As in, we're just close to gossip, we're close to negativity. So I think that's something that's extremely, extremely important. I know sometimes in the early times, people struggle with issues around discipline. People struggle with things around time management, and these are things that are critical. I for one went to boarding school, and my boarding school was in a hill station near, like basically the hill opposite Kasoli, the hill station. And it was a school called the Lawrence School, Sanaa, and we were taught one thing, which is also a school motto, and that was never give in. Right? So never give in, truly was our motto. We had to be, someone, no matter how bad it got, no matter how hard it got, you just had to be someone who persevered. So you couldn't actually give in. Bringing back the conversation of tiny habits now into one's scheduling routine, something that people can really follow. Let's take a look at today, an average 18, 19, 20, maybe even slightly older 22, 23, 24 year old. Where does the battle actually begin? The battle begins first thing in the morning when you're in bed. Winters are coming, your alarm goes off, and what you say is, what, let me just hit the snooze button. Right? Let me just sleep for like another 7 minutes or 8 minutes, depending on how long your snooze button is. So, the first tiny habit actually comes in, right there. So, tiny habits actually follows a sequence, right? We call it, a A and a B and a C. So, it's like A is, something that's already happening in your life. It's like an anchor that's already there. B is something new that you're looking to start, right? And the C, I'm going to come to in a short while as well. But things like, so the alarm goes off, so you don't hit the snooze button. Instead, you jump out of bed. Okay, your feet hit the ground, and you say today is going to be an awesome day, right? So what you've done now is you're actually doing an affirmation saying, okay, today is going to be a super day. So A, the action is, you get out of bed, your feet hit the ground. So that's the A. The B is the new behavior. So you're trying to do, let's say, affirmations that you're not really doing. So you affirm that today is going to be a super day. And the C stands for celebration. So know this, that people change, okay, not by feeling bad, by feeling good. Think about it. When we were babies, or we see babies, babies are trying to walk and they're falling, and the parent, aunt, uncle, whoever it is, saying, okay, bacha, very good, come on, and they're trying to like pep up the kid. And what is happening now in the mind of the baby? You've actually got dopamine, and you've got all the neurochemicals that are firing, which are positive neurochemicals. So the A is something that you already do. You're going to get out of bed, your feet are going to hit the ground. Okay, the B is a new behavior, which is something like affirmations that we want to start. So you say, okay, today is going to be an awesome day. And the C is about celebrating it. So then you do like, a fist pump or, pat yourself in the back that I've got out of bed and I've got it into action, right? So the A and the B and the C. So that really is the crux, behind the tiny habits, mechanism. And that works out really good.
Actually, these points were something that I was also looking for personally. And now, let's now move to our motivation thing that you just mentioned. Since we just talked about
Yeah,
10 tiny habits, we got to know what we need to do and we not need to do. So now,
right.
why you said that motivation is the thing that can be very much harmful or can be the reason for your failure? What's the reason? And also, just adding one more thing, people sometimes I guess gets confused between motivation and the reason for living, I guess so can you just put some
Yeah.
light on this as well?
Yeah, again, super questions. So let's take a look at motivation, right? And what happens is, sometimes we wake up in the morning and we're motivated. But during the course of the day, certain actions happen and then our motivation actually drops and we start, dipping. So motivation, it comes in waves. Sometimes you're highly motivated and sometimes you're down. Think about when you want to hit the gym. Okay, like the start of the year, everyone is signing up, for gym memberships and say, okay, in 2023, I'm going to have a great body and I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to be fitter than ever. And as the year starts progressing, by the 15th of January, 72% of people, the motivation is already down. By March, April, they've even forgotten mother gym kahan tha, right? So it's actually all died. So the thing with motivation is that relying on motivation itself is a big problem, because motivation it comes in waves, for one. Second, is that there are three things behind motivation as well. So where does the motivation come from? So one is motivation comes from within. Okay, that I am a motivated person, I'm naturally motivated, and we'll all know such people, within our families, in our offices, right? And some of them are very highly motivated, but others are not. The second form of motivation is reward or punishment. So if you do well, you will be rewarded, but if you do badly, you're going to be punished. So that's the external form of motivation. And the third form of motivation is, who do you surround yourself with? Aapki sangat kya hai? Who do you surround yourself with at home, in office, and all of that as well. And I always tell people that, if your life resembles a circus, there's a good chance that you're surrounding yourself with clowns. So, if it's not the right, environment, then what happens is your life, it will, be like a circus or will be chaotic. So it's very, very important, who's your inner circle, who's your core circle, who are those 15, 20 people that you see a lot of, and that's a very important aspect as well. Motivation also goes from what I call, burst to bust. So you go in for an event, there's a big speaker like a Tony Robbins or someone or Grant Cardone, and everyone jumping the gun. Friday, Saturday, event is over. Sunday, you're relaxing. Monday, you go back to office or you go back to home. And, by that time, again, life happens, so crises are happening again. And, there are issues that could perhaps be popping up. And then what's happened is you've gone from burst, which is BURST, where you were bursting with energy, and you've gone down to a bust where you're like, "Arey yaar, घूम फिर के वहीं वापस आ गए." So hence I say motivation is the villain. ज़रूरी है. I mean, it's important. It's great if you have it, but it's not alone going to help you succeed. And that's a very important lesson for everyone. So when people call me in, I'm like, what do you want from me? Do you want motivation or do you want a revolution? Because I mean, I can come in and deliver motivation, right? But that'll happen over, maybe one session and it'll be temporary. But if you want lasting change, if you really want people to be different from within, I'm like, then the mandate has to be slightly longer. And if you're looking at revolution, then it's a longer conversation.
That was very much insightful and very much true at the same time, because people gets confused with this term motivation and they are like, okay, we are motivated, we are doing stuff. This is a very wrong
Yeah,
concept. But that was
yeah,
true. And also, as you just mentioned about the motivation and the revolution, so if I talk about you, okay, so for you, why you are working, like if I ask in a in that way, what is your
yeah.
reason that why you are waking up at time, why you are doing everything, why you working on entrepreneurship, what's the reason for you, like that, like
Yeah.
the how people can also understand the reason of their lives?
No, very deep question, in fact, and it goes back to another very interesting personality in the world today and an author. His name is Simon Sinek. That's SIMON SINEK. And Simon Sinek wrote a book, well, quite a few years ago, and the book was called Start with Why. So always start with why. Okay, always start with purpose. Always start with the reason for doing what you do. In fact, I have many friends, and they don't ask you, they don't ask you what you do. They don't ask you how you do it, but they ask you why do you do what you do. And based on how you answer that question, is they will decide whether to have a conversation with you or not to have a conversation with you. Because when you ask someone why do you do what you do, they're actually like, "हमने कभी सोचा ही नहीं." And we're like, okay, you've been doing this for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and you don't even know why you do what you do, right? So it's a big disservice that you're doing to yourself and everyone else as well. So that why question is very, very important. That why is truly your purpose. Now, when someone comes to me and says, okay, GB, you're running many companies, what is your why? So let's take a look at the academy, because since you asked about the academy, at the GBA, we're very clear that our why of the academy is to take 100,000 business owners. Okay, so 100,000 business owners, help them add 100 jobs in their organizations. Now, each family has about 4 people. So 100,000 into 100 into 4. So you now impacted the lives of 4 crore people, right? And apart from that, it's also about working with working professionals and graduating students. And I even have a number for that. So I'd say 9 lakh working professionals and graduating students. So in a way, over the course of the next 5 years, which is till 2027, the 15th of May 2027, the idea is to impact 4 crore 9 lakh lives, using our teachings and everything else. So that really is the why. So any day when I'm not feel like waking up and it's cold and I'm saying, "Itni sardi ho rahi hai, so ja wo 10-15 minute," I'm like, listen, I said, if I don't go out there and be the best version of myself today, and I have a lot of people look up to me, and follow me on all my channels and all that as well. I said be a disservice to one of those 4 crore 9 lakh people, and hence I said, okay, just for that I have to stay in action. So that's where the purpose comes from.
That was really mind blowing, to be honest. I really love the way you explained the why, and I'm pretty much sure the listeners would also now will be asking from themselves that, okay, why am I waking up? Why am I standing? And why I'm doing this stuff? That was really amazing. Now, concluding this podcast with a very interesting question, that when it comes to tiny things, we have people from different domains and we have people from different like industries at the same time. So like what are the three like from your past experience, the three advice that you want to give to them when it comes to their especially career, that these tiny habits are the ones that will surely be able to help you in your career development?
So I would say agnostic of career, or profession or student or whatever you are. I would say two which are very important. One is one is for the affirmation, and the second is for the gratitude. And then I'll give you a third one around work as well. But let's say the first one is the one I already mentioned. You get out of bed in the morning, your feet hit the ground, and you say an affirmation like today is going to be a great day. Okay, so you want to start the day right. Even if you had some thoughts saying, "Oh, pata nahi kya hone wala," just say today is going to be a great day. Okay, so that's one. The second one, which I say, end of the day, when the day is ending, okay, your head hits the pillow. So your head is going to hit the pillow, right? That's going to be the anchor. The behavior that you want to practice is gratitude, where you say, okay, thank you, whoever you believe in, it could be God or the force, whatever it is. And you say, thank you for the day that I had. I'm sure tomorrow will be better. So, the affirmation and gratitude are some things that everyone can use. So, students, housewives, children, working professionals, these are two. When it comes to work, what I would say is, I'll give you maybe two more. So one is, pertaining to, is not reach for your mobile phone. Okay, ideally, I would tell people, don't even charge your mobile phone in the room. Keep your mobile phone in a room outside your main bedroom. Okay, so that you don't want to be distracted and first thing in the morning, checking out Insta and Facebook and all of that. You don't want to do that. So what I in fact do is I tell people, okay, you get out of your room, or wherever your thing is, you're heading towards the kitchen. The first thing you should do after that is just drink, a glass of water or any, health drink that you may have, like first thing in the morning. So that should be another tiny habit that you should actually have. Another one I would recommend is that you can also link something to do with just being in silence for some time. Don't pick up your gadget, don't open your computer, don't start replying to your emails, because what happens is once you've done that, now you're no longer playing attack. Now you're playing the defense game. Now you're responding to people. Now you're checking out, reels, and you're doing all those things. I mean, good stuff to do. Just don't do it for the first half hour of, when you wake up in the morning. So phone in another room. I think that'll be something that'll be really good for people. And do stuff where you just in silence, have a pen and paper, just write down your thoughts, what are your plans, what are the things that you're doing. So I think journaling would be a great way to plan as well. So those would be some of the ideas that I'll give you for starters.
That was very much amazing, and I'm personally surely gonna used to will do all these tiny habits. And with that note, thank you so much, Gaurav, for joining in. It was really amazing to have you, and I have dropped all his social handles in the description below. You can connect with him, and if you need any help, you can have it. And also, he has an amazing academy, so do check it out, and I'm pretty much sure it's gonna help you in a very amazing manner. So with that note, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chavi. It was a pleasure being here, and I look forward to staying connected. Thank you very much.